Good evening, everybody. Thank you all for making Venues Day such an amazing day. We have one last presentation for you, which myself, Beverley and Clara, we're going to bring you some information about current initiatives we have. We're going to be telling you about the annual statistics. We're going to be telling you about the emergency crisis, and we have a couple of big announcements to make. So, as some of you know, last year we launched our Own Our Venues campaign. Just a quick reminder, if you don't think the ownership of your venue is a problem at the moment, we assure you it will be at some point in the future. If you don't own your own venue, you are under constant threat from landlords, from property investment companies, from developers. There's some stats on the screen. I'm not going to read everything out that goes on the screen, but this is the number one thing eventually that presents itself as a threat to all venues. So we're trying to get ahead of that. We launched a program to really address this thing. 93% of the venues in grassroots music venues in the country are not owned by the operators. So we've launched a pilot project. It went live in May. We're looking to buy 9 venues. They're in Scotland, Wales and England. There are 2 in Wales, 1 in Scotland, 6 in England. The principal thing is we will initially reduce the rent for those venues when we acquire them. And that means we'll make a big annual saving, money that will go back into programming. To do that, we need to raise £2.5 million minimum, but preferably 3.5 million. There's lots of things you can read about this. You can just go to www.musicvenueproperties.com. That's musicvenueproperties.com, or just look for the hashtag Own Our Venues on any of our social media. Everyone in this room, can buy a share. You can be the owners of the venues that we do our work in, and eventually we want you all to become collectively the owners of all of your venues. We're fed up with landlords. We're fed up with property developers. We're fed up of being booted out by gentrification. Who should own music venues? You all should own music venues, not fucking landlords. If a venue is successful, the money should be going into the people in this room's pocket, not into the pockets of horrible investment bankers who park all their fucking taxis in Grand Cayman. That's enough. Currently, actually that's out of date because I sat down here today. One of the reasons we hold these events is because it terrifies the music industry when they see how many people get together in a room. So I am able to tell you today that on top of that, we now have donations from Sony Music, Warner Music, Help Musicians UK, who deserve a fucking big round of applause for that. We have donations from, everybody take a sharp intake of breath. We have a donation from PPL. And if they're going to spend their money doing stuff like this, give them a fucking cheer for it, actually. Because that's what they should be doing. Do you know who hasn't given us a donation? Fill in the letters now. PRS. Where the fuck are you on protecting your licensees' premises from being closed down by landlords? Not good enough, PRS for music. More on that later. We need to try and get this done this year. We'll buy the first 9 venues. Then we want to buy literally every venue in the country over a period of 10 to 20 years. And we will rent them back to you at cheap rates, and we will do your buildings insurance, and we will do your repairs, and we will work with you to make your venue better, and you won't have to worry about your venue falling down, and you won't have to worry about being kicked out forever. That's Own Our Venues. Next slide, please, Tony. Ed Sheeran gave us money. If Ed Sheeran can give us money, Elton John, hello. I'm calling to you. Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr. People have made a lot of money out of the money that they made in small venues, the career they started in small venues. I believe that Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr, I believe that Roger Daltrey and Pete Townsend, I think these people actually understand where their careers started and what they can do to change them from being closed down. So that's who we need to come in. God bless Ed for coming in. He's taken a stand. Hopefully many more venues will. Many more musicians will. Right, moving on, please. Now the big survey. I might actually stand up for this bit because it's not good news. Every year you take part in our survey. Thank you to all of you that did this year. It would be helpful to us if many more of you would take part in the annual survey. We are now building that. We'll only ask you the questions once a year, and we'll try and use everything you give us with every other survey there is, although unfortunately later on in this speech I'm going to have to tell you about another survey you do have to do. But look, these are the results. First of all, I'm going to run you through. This is a typical grassroots music venue in 2022, okay? It'd be interesting to see how many of you feel represented on these screens and how many of you feel it's either better or worse than is going to be on these screens. Average capacity is now 308. How many people have got a capacity of 308? How many of you have got capacity of 200? 250? 300? 350? 400? Over 600? A few, okay. Lower than 200, I didn't do that. How many lower than 200s? Okay, so all those lower 200s, you put them with the 600 and we end up with 308. Number of events, and this is the first stat that you're gonna start looking at and realizing we are in trouble. Okay, I can't say it firmly enough. We are in trouble as a sector. And the reason we're in trouble is the number of events you've been able to put on in the last 12 months of full trading is massively down per venue. It's down by 34 events a year per venue. Overall, it means there were a huge number of events, about 40,000 events across the UK, less than in 2019. I'll explain what that means in a bit. The second bit of bad news is the attendance per event on your 308 average is also down. 51% average capacity in 2019 is down to 40%. Practical numbers, 161 people in a 308 capacity venue 3 years ago, down to 124. This is the big one. The average number of events per week was 4.2. It's now 3.2. The number of paid events has dropped. The number of paid live music events, particularly the words live music, is down more than anything else as you all start promoting things that frankly are more economically viable than live music. Are you all feeling depressed yet? Yeah, a bit. Nights per week of paid live music is now 1.97. And that means that Music Venue Trust has to consider rewriting the definition of a grassroots music venue because we have said that what this sector does is 2 nights of paid live music per week, 104 shows a year, and in fact the average venue is now only able to put on 102.4 nights of music a year. I was expecting you to be more shocked by that, but I think that's maybe your lived experience. Now, this slide initially made us feel, wow, that's a good number, that finally, after years of ticket prices stagnating, we were finally seeing ticket prices rising. Ticket price average 2019, £8.80. 2022, it's £10.90. Here's the problem. When you take that 24% increase, the largest increase in ticket prices in literally all the time we've been doing this and all the time there's been a record, it's exclusively driven by the fact that all of you, frankly, can no longer afford to put on live music at £5, £6, £7. You're cutting out the shows of the artists that can't pull numbers. You're having to put on the ones where you can charge the larger ticket price for the more people that are going to turn up. That number there, if there's anybody in here from the labels, if there's anybody here from publishing, anybody here from PRS, from PPL, that number should terrify you. That means that instead of 230,000 potential opportunities where an artist might be launching their career in our sector, we're now doing about 180,000. And that means, and I'm going to be blunt, if you think that Ed Sheeran, who built his career in our sector, now a billion-dollar artist for our industry, if you think he would have built his career out of 260 shows instead of 366, you carry on letting that happen. But if you understand that our industry is not an exact science and it requires the opportunity for new artists to deliver their work, then you, all of you, music labels, the government, culture sector, everybody needs to look at that and work out what we're all going to do about it. Because this sector can't resolve this problem for the music industry. We're going to need touring subsidies back. We're going to need investment from the top. We're going to need major touring artists to understand that this is an ecosystem and it isn't any good announcing another 700 Coldplay shows at £200 each over the next 3 years when all the venues they played in, so there will never be another Coldplay, to do that, will all be fucking closed. Get your act together, music industry. This room has got its act together. We're putting on shows and losing money. We can't do that anymore for you. We're going to need big support to come in the terms of funding. More on that in a bit. This is an interesting one. The average spend per head on the bar went down while bar prices went up. And our bar spend is now significantly below, by about £7, the average bar spend per head of a pub. In total, the amount of money you're getting from a client at your venue, £26.16, is slightly higher than just an average pub, but the amount that you're paying out for that because of the ticket split and everything, it means we're well below sustainability of pubs. Some really interesting news in the survey was that the number of people on PAYE in our sector went up substantially. We think that's because of COVID. We think that venue operators are responsible people, and the likelihood is that you realize what happened to self-employed contractors during COVID, and you said, right, okay, what can I do to protect people in the future? The number of full-time equivalent employees stayed about the same, but the number of people giving that work on PAYE went up slightly. Number of volunteers stayed about the same. I'll come back to how many people are working in this sector in a bit. Next slide. A typical turnover for a 308 capacity venue, and if you want to know if you're an average venue, you can take that number, 521,000, and you can divide it by your capacity, and it will tell you roughly how much you'll be. So if you've got a 200 cap venue, divide that number by 308, times it by 200, that's where you should be. The bar sales now account for 67% of turnover. That's up 2%. And the ticket sales are down 2%. So again, we're seeing a decline in ticket sales while the price of tickets is going up by 24%. I don't know if anybody's a great mathematician in this room, but those numbers are horrific, terrible. So, having said all that, this sector is still worth to the British economy roughly £500 million. Does any one of you in this room who runs a small venue realise that you are part of an industry that's worth £500 million? Just us, just the 950 venues, £500 million. 174,000 events. It's still an incredible offer to the public. Total ticket sales, 15 million, but that's down 28%. 28% less tickets. Let me just tell you something about what losing 50,000 events means. It means 1 million opportunities to work lost for artists, for crew, for tech staff. It's an astonishing drop in the workforce opportunities. We really have to turn this around. It's worth noting that while that was happening, the total number of PAY employees, nearly 20,000 people work in this sector. Full-time employees, number of paid contractors is another 11. There's 30,000 people that deliver our work. That's us, not the artists, not the crew. It's just us. 30,000 people, 8,000 volunteers nearly. It's a huge industry. £500 million, 30,000 people. It's huge. We need, believe it or not, a minister, a secretary of state for culture who has the slightest bit of interest in looking at those slides and realizing that this is a massive opportunity. I mean, what the fuck are they doing? Let's not mince words. I'm on my ninth secretary of state for culture. The last two can't even have a meeting with me, although maybe Michelle Donnellan will change that. Let's be honest, I'm not going to mince any words. A government that appoints Nadine Dorris to be in charge of grassroots music venues is deliberately trying to insult you. All right? And they need to get a fucking grip. £500 million, 30,000 jobs. Shut up about growth and development and jobs and protection unless you want to do something about one of the most important community industries in the whole country. Next slide, please. Oh, sorry, you've done that one. Right. And now, the really depressing news. The average salary being earned by a venue operator in this sector is £20,400. Does anybody want to violently disagree with that? Are any of you millionaires? Yeah. You work 66 hours a week. Does anybody want to disagree with that? No. You're paying yourselves £6.43 an hour. If you were working for somebody else, you'd be breaking the law. We have to at least change that number as a minimum up to £9.18, so you're at least earning minimum wage. It isn't acceptable to me, and it shouldn't be acceptable to anybody in the whole music industry, that a senior executive in the music industry has paid themselves a £220 million annual bonus while you're working for £6.43. Grow the fuck up. It's not about wealth distribution. It's about you absolutely scanning the system, taking every bit out of it and letting people work for below minimum wage to build you the artist that you can exploit in the future. Not good enough. Get it better. We're going to need investment from the top of our industry down to the bottom. And so before I come on to the nice announcements, let me tell you two things. It isn't possible for you to do this work and to get the number of opportunities we need for new and developing artists without financial support. So we are calling that the music industry needs to bring back immediately touring support for artists. It was a feature of our network for years. We need money from major record labels behind artists, getting them out to every corner of the country, building their audiences. Universal, Warner's, Sony. Well, Warner's and Sony, thank you for your support for everything we're doing. We really appreciate it. But you've got to get involved now. Number two, has anybody met with PRS Foundation today? Anybody get the chance to meet with Joe and PRS Foundation? Hands up. Listen, PRS Foundation are the good people doing good work. They're trying to support artists. They want to support venues. And in the middle of the biggest downturn of new and development talent opportunities that we've ever seen in this country, PRS for Music have pulled the funding from PRS Foundation, over £1.5 million being taken out. PRS for Music, not fucking good enough. Not good enough. Taking money out of new and developing talent at this point in this calendar, absolutely stupid. Stupid for you, stupid for your members. Go back to your members, put that money back in. Frankly, looking at these numbers, double down. Don't put back in £1.5 million, put in 15 million, because that's the money you've got sitting in your account doing nothing to support our members or to support touring artists. PRS for Music, get off the toilet or crap. Do one of the two. Slightly nicer, Arts Council England and reaching out to Creative Wales and Creative Scotland and Arts Council Northern Ireland. Arts Council England, let's start with you. The plan is to end the supporting grassroots live music strand of funding in 2023 on the 31st of March, and to ask all of the people in this room to make an application alongside every other theatre, classical orchestra, everything else in the whole country. No. Not in this atmosphere. You need to renew the Supporting Grassroots Live Music Fund, and again, do you know what? Double it. £1.5 million for the whole of new and development in talent, in rock and roll, in indie. It's not enough. It's not enough. You spend that kind of money on an air conditioning unit for one of your favourite theatres. 15 million would be a good number. Let's start with 3 million. Double it. Supporting Grassroots Live Music Fund back, double the number. That's enough from me on that bit, I think. Have we done the annual surveys? Has anybody got any questions? Why is Mark so angry? I had to read those numbers and come and tell you them. That's why I'm so angry. Thankfully, I get a break now. Clara, you're up.
Hi, everyone. So the Emergency Response Service was founded in 2018. The mission of the service is to give advice and support to venues in crisis. That could be planning, licensing, issues with PRS, issues with your landlord, energy, whatever it is that might kind of put you under threat. It won't come as a surprise to anyone in this room that in the last 3 months, energy has been the biggest issue that people are coming into the emergency response crisis for. The lovely Adam Pearson. Adam, are you in the room? Can you wave? I can't. There he is. Adam is an energy broker, one of our MBT gurus. He'll be around to chat if you want to talk about energy. Adam is your man. In this year, we've seen a double in the number of cases coming into the crisis service. That probably isn't surprising, seeing some of the stats that you've just seen. So yeah, the biggest trend is energy. The next second trend is succession planning. So we have a lot of venue operators coming to us saying, listen, I've done my time in the industry. I want to leave, but I want to put my venue in a good place. How do I do this? And it's really heartening to see so many new and younger people coming up through the room, new bookers, new promoters, things like that. And so that's a really big issue that I think the industry is starting to ask, succession planning. How do we make sure that these venues are here in 10 years' time and who's running them? So those are the two trends we're seeing at the moment. Number of cases. So we've seen a double the amount of cases this year compared to last year. And at the moment, we're seeing about a 20% increase in the overall numbers. So that is a very depressing number.
Gosh, this is 3 really boring slides, but it is going somewhere. Do you all know that the government has announced that there will be support for businesses? But you do know that that was the last government, so that was last week's government. This week's government aren't quite as certain that there will be support, although we think there probably will, but it might be. It depends. Who's Chancellor next week in this room? I forget. Is it Jay Taylor? Are you having a go, aren't you? Cool, great. I'm going to have to go to the screen here. The important thing to understand is there isn't actually an energy cap. It sounds bizarre, but after the government have given you the support, there isn't. That doesn't mean that the energy company could still decide it was £2 a unit. The government would then try and subsidise that down to a level you could manage. So the calculation is incredibly difficult, but it's very important that you all do something, which is why we've made a special section about it. The government have capped the subsidy they will give you if you're on a variable rate. If you're on a variable rate, they will only give you 34.5 pence. If you are on a fixed rate, doesn't matter whether you're already on it or whether you take it tomorrow. Adam, any point I'm getting this wrong, you let me know. It doesn't matter when you got it. What matters is that you're on it. Is that correct? If you're on it, then the government will calculate the subsidy based on a number that they've set, which I think is 21.1 pence a unit, and the market rate on the day that so they will then subsidise you. So today, actually I say that, but Friday I think it was when I spoke to Adam, you would have been getting, if you're on a fixed rate, you'll be getting a 44.5 pence subsidy for every unit, whatever amount you're getting. They'll take 44.5 pence off it. And if you're on a variable rate, you'd only be getting 34.5 pence. Currently, that whole thing is set to expire on the 31st of March. And that's why we've made a particular thing about this in this presentation. I'll do an example. Okay, so your venue has a fixed price contract of 85 pence, which is that still the market rate today, roughly, Adam? About that. Okay, so 85 pence. In fact, if you're not on a fixed contract and you want to get on one, go to Adam. I think he can get you 85 pence today, which is extraordinary. It's 85 pence. I know you can't possibly afford it. I think Sam Dabb, who won the award earlier, you were offered 85 pence and wrote to us straight away saying you can't possibly take it. Okay, but actually, what you would pay is you would end up paying 40 pence. Pretty much. So actually, but you were going to go on the variable rate, I think, Sam. So yeah, if you fix it, you would be paying 40 pence a unit. Now, for me personally, I know some of your finances. 40 pence is still pretty horrific, but it's better than 85 pence. So if you're on the variable rate, even if you were paying less, let's say you were paying 80 pence, which probably sounds about right on the market today. The government would only subsidise you by 34.5 pence, so you'd actually be paying more. You're going to be paying 45.5 pence. This is just a bit of background before I come on. I think if you all know us well enough, you know that we never tell you how to run a music venue, okay? I know that sounds mad. We'll always tell you how somebody else is running a great music venue, but it's not our policy to tell you what you must do. We always say, look, there's great things out here, and you should decide. I don't know how to run a venue in Doncaster. Somebody from Doncaster does. And trust me, you don't know how to run a venue in Tunbridge Wells, so let's not swap. You should all run your venue the way that you want it to be run. But for a change, we are going to tell you a couple of things to do. But just the background first. That background is the cheapest rate that we've seen recently in August and September was 84 pence. The most expensive I saw, believe it or not, was £1.87, I think it was, off memory. £1.87 a unit. If you can go in right now for fixed price, 80 pence, 85. Say it again louder, Adam. 70 something pence this week that Adam can get you. So if you go on a fixed rate contract, you're going to end up paying about 38 pence. It's terrible, but it's a lot better than where we were before. Adam told me, and I put it on a screen. I really trust you, Adam. Can you tell? Right. He reckoned that by April next year, we could be looking at 45 pence through to about 55 pence. So the challenge for you is, okay, I've got to go on a fixed rate because I can't possibly afford 85 pence, but you're doing that in the knowledge that in April next year, you may be able to negotiate a rate that's significantly below that. So that's the challenge. Whether it helps you to support you for the next 6 months is entirely reliant upon you correctly doing and not following things. So this is what you should do for a change. Number one, please don't try and understand this. It took me, Chris Sherrington, Adam, Clara, 3 or 4 other people about half a day to work this out. This is not your job. Don't try and use a broker, please. Because the brokers understand how this subsidy is working and they can tell you how much you're going to get paid. Number 2, our advice is, unless you really can hang out, you must take a fixed rate contract. I think our advice is to take it for as short a period of time as they'll give it to you. But if you end up paying slightly more in April next year than the market rate, it's better than trying to pay 85 pence now. Take the shortest term available. Cut your energy use. We have resources on our website. Where's Chris Sherrington? Chris? Over there. Chris can send you a thing we've designed with Julie's bicycle to bring your energy usage down. Do everything you can for that. And now, believe it or not, the government, whoever it is at this moment, another hour's gone past, the government want all venues in the country to fill in a survey about your energy usage. And the reason they're doing that is because they may extend the support beyond April. And if you work out where we are on the market and everything else, you can work out that if you took a fixed rate contract now and you held it for the next 12 months, if we can extend it by 6 months, then in that case you can go into the market at a point where it's finally gone down and get a reasonable price. So our advice is, take a fixed rate contract, do it for 12 months if you can get it, fill in this survey. You must fill in this survey. I can't emphasize it enough. They won't believe me because they're annoyed with me for telling them what they're like. They will believe you if there are enough of you. So all of you, please note that down. cutt.ly/MVTNRG. Okay? Please take this survey. We're going to put out a document of how you fill it in. There's already one on the Arts Council England website. Please fill it. I mean, I can't say, if you really want to save your business, spend whatever amount of time it takes. We'll give you all the support necessary. This is just a quick sidebar. I promise it's quick. Some of you may have seen something called the Crown Commercial Service. Please go and look up the Crown Commercial Service. They have the cheapest rate on the market. If you are a not-for-profit registered venue, you can get that. At the moment, it's about 2/3 of the lowest market rate we're seeing, but actually, generally, it's about half. So if you are not-for-profit registered, please go to the Crown Commercial Service. If you have any problems, please come to us and we can help to get you inducted into the service. I know Sam, for example, had problems with it. They're sort of resolved now, aren't they, Sam? You're going in April, so we can help. But please come to us. I'm just having a go at everybody today. It's good, isn't it? Right. They've got to extend the subsidy. Businesses will close. It can't just end on the 31st of March. There's no way that you can afford 85 pence. It's just too much. It's lights and sound intensive. It's electricity use intensive. We're going to need them to extend the subsidy. Please do that survey. And despite all of that, forget over all of that, the truth is that even with an energy subsidy, we are going to need the government to finally move on these pre-profit taxes. Business rates in this country are the highest in Europe. VAT on tickets is the highest in Europe. This is supposed to be a government that believes in low taxation. They need to cut VAT. They need to end business rates. Now, we've been talking about it for 8 years. It's not good enough. We need a genuine government that actually cares about small and medium enterprises. They should care about venues in their community. That we need to cut the business rates entirely. And we need to, frankly, cut VAT on ticketing to 0. But if we can't do that, let's at least do what the French do, 5.5%, or what the Spanish do, 8%, or the Germans, 6%, or in my case, preferably the Norwegians, 0. 0% VAT on tickets. Next slide, please. Clara?
So on the 7th of November, there is going to be a hospitality demonstration and march, and it's going to be all of hospitality, including venues. The aims are increased business rates relief and a cut to VAT. The whole MVT team is going to be going on the march. If you want to come along, we would really, really encourage you to do so. Please let me know if you want to come along. We need as many venue staff to come along and represented as possible.
7th of November, starts at 10 a.m, I think. 10 a.m.
Yeah, 10 a.m.
Right. Now that you're all feeling quite depressed, what we wanted to say was thank you to all of you who have segued into our paid membership model that we announced at Venues Day last year. Every venue that's joined us today has signed up to the new model, whether you have signed up for one of the levels or whether you applied for a bursary. There are now almost 300 of you who have committed to the new model. The membership benefits for those members mean that we can work more closely with you, but also that you can support each other in a more viable way, because those venues that have paid have enabled us to offer venues unable to pay for bursary level membership. So it's a really good demonstration of the community that we've created within the Music Venues Alliance. And what I'd like those of you to do who've joined so far is think of other nearby venues that maybe haven't joined the membership and maybe have a chat with them about whether, if they don't feel able to pay, maybe applying for a bursary so that they can also feel some of the benefits listed on this slide. Because we genuinely don't want to lose anyone from the MVA because they can't afford to make a monthly contribution. The membership levels were specifically designed that those venues that were more economically viable would be able to contribute more and support venues less economically viable. So that's what I'd like you to think of. All of you have done it, and we're really grateful. But if you know nearby venues or venues that have similar programs to you or have some resonance to your own venue, please contact them and get them to get in touch with us about becoming members, either paid or bursary, so that they can gain those benefits too. We have nearly finished.
Yeah, just talking about the live projects. Hopefully quite a lot of you in this room got a Revive live project. Just wanted to tell you, this is something new we started doing just post-COVID. It's incredibly effective. I mean, I'm not going to read out all those stats, but we are actively looking for new partners. We're hoping that we might get another year out of National Lottery. It's really, really had a big impact on how we're able to support you, the shows we're able to bring you. And very importantly for us, we've already got another partnership with Free now, which is in 3 cities. Denzel, where's Denzel? He's definitely over there somewhere. At the back there. There he is. Serving you free beer. Our partnership guy, Denzel, is working on more partnerships, more brands coming in. We're going to act as a central agency. But please look at those numbers and realise how much money has been generated, how much money has been put in the economy through projects like Revive Live. I'm going to tell you something else that's been happening with Revive Live in a minute, but just also want to tell you we are now able to take a much bigger presence at things like The Great Escape, Focus Wales, Wide Days, fill them all in, Bev, because I never remember the names of all of them. But, I mean, basically, we are now out there because of this work saying, look, this sector matters, trying to get other people in the music industry engaged. A big one, I hope all of you have had a chance today to go to the Hereby stand, which was just over there, the big red wall. If you haven't, we need you to please, there they are, waving their arms. Please do go and visit them. MVT is delighted to announce that we are launching the first ever fully comprehensive guide to all the venues in the MVA. Every single venue will be listed in a gig guide, and we will be covering I think about 70% of all the shows you have on, and we're going to gradually improve that until we have a complete full listing of every grassroots music gig in the country in one place. And then once we've got that, we're going to work with Hereby to embed that information on all of your council websites, all of the government websites, all of the listings websites, all of the media, so there is one version of looking at information, so that wherever you go, you can find out exactly what the grassroots music venues are near you and exactly what gigs they've got on in the next 3 months, 6 months, whatever. It all links out to your websites. It all links to your social media. We're going to build up a database of every single show that's happening at this level, and we're going to archive that information, and in 5 years' time, when we've created another Ed Sheeran, we'll be able to go out and say, this is exactly where this artist played. This is the venues they played in. This is the debt they owe to this circuit. So it's all completely free. You do not need to do anything except one thing. You must please go to our website, go to the gig guide, search for your own venue, and check that everything about your venue is exactly how you want it to be. Whether you want it to be your social media links, your website link, what shows are listed, everything else. If anything about it isn't the way you want to be represented, if that's the photo or the address, whatever else it is, you can change that by emailing info@hereby.com, and they will resolve it for you. They're gradually scraping more and more information. You don't need to send us any listings. You don't send us any details of anything. It's all taken from existing information. There's nothing for you to do except make sure you're on that map the way that you want to be. We're going to be promoting that nationally with a big campaign, a big launch. Everybody should be getting out of grassroots music venues. Here's the information on how to do it. And we didn't finish there. Bev, do you want to do the pipeline?
So we have resuscitated the Pipeline Investment Fund. That was something that we tried to create in 2018 by encouraging the music industry to invest in grassroots music venues. As is often the case with our work, we got bored of waiting for other people to do it, so we're doing it ourselves. So we are very proud to launch Music Venue Trust's Pipeline Investment Fund, which will be a small fund open to every single grassroots music venue in the UK to apply for a grant of up to £5,000 for small capital or training and staffing development needs in your venues. We have made the process very easy for MVA members, and we very much want you to apply for the small amounts of money you need that could genuinely improve the operation of your venue in the short term, and come to us to benefit from some of the money generated from the ticket sales of the Revive live shows. Anything you want to add, Mark?
Just to say, applications are open now. You can go to our website. There's a button there. It says apply for funding. The application process will take you, if you are an MVA member, I'm going to say it would take you 2 days of thinking what you want the money for and about 45 minutes online applying for it. It's not Grantium. I thought that'd get a bigger cheer, actually. It's not Grantium. I'll say it one more time for effect.
Actually, also very important to say there, neither is it nation-specific. It is equally as open to venues in Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and England, because that is our membership.
Yeah. And finally, just want to say on this thing of like you applying, listen, do you trust me? Hands up who trusts Mark a bit. Okay. Come in for the money you need, all right? It's not a bottomless pit of money. We don't have so much money we can just start throwing it around. But if you need a new set of mics, apply for a new set of mics. We've got a partner over here, Sure. They'll do you a new set of mics, and they'll probably do you a great deal. You'll do them a deal, won't you? We've got a lighting company over there, do you a deal. Get a good deal. Just apply for the money you need. Why am I asking you to do that? Because I want you to leave as much money as you can in that pot for another venue that really needs it. All right? I don't want to put out 60, 70, 5,000. I want to put out a £1,500 grant because you're bored of giving the singer a microphone that was up somebody's arse last night. All right? Get some really great microphones. Make it look really good. And also, just work this number out for yourselves because I can do it for you. Apply once every 2 or 3 years and you're ahead on your membership. We're literally going to give you the money back, all right? Okay, so if anybody hasn't already got their phone out and gone to our website, then you must be mad. You should start thinking about what you want £1,000, £2,000 for now. Get on top of it, get it done. We're going to try and turn them around in less than a month. So whenever you apply, we'll try and give you the answer in less than a month, and we'll put the money in your account immediately after we give you the decision. And there'll be a certain level of compliance that's indicated by the thing. But honestly, it's super, super easy. We know you're busy. We want to give you the money. The second part of this is, and this is again me pontificating, we've done this ourselves because we're bored of waiting for the music industry to do it. There are venues in this country selling £200 tickets, but apparently they can't put 50 pence on the ticket and put that into this fund, support grassroots music venues, because it might put the customers off. Bollocks. Absolute horseshit. This country needs a subsidy scheme like they have in France, and we're either going to get it because venues across the country and festivals and big promoters agree that grassroots music needs some money, or we're going to end up getting it because the government, when we finally get a real one, will make them do it. And out of those two options, I promise you, it is much better if we do it ourselves. So, dear music industry, let's finish this on a big rousing cheer. Put your money where your mouth is. Stop saying you support grassroots music venues. Put money in this fund, and all of it, every penny, will go to grassroots music venues like all the venues in this building. I think I'm done.
Really?
I've run out of rage.
Okay. We were going to have a Q&A. I think we've probably talked enough and you probably want to get to your drinks. But before we do that, I need to say some thank yous. And first of all, I need to thank all of you lovely venues for coming to Venues Day again, because it's so wonderful for us to see your faces. So thank you. And then I have to thank the people who gave us the money to enable you to come to Venues Day. So I'd like to thank all of our partners who've helped make Venues Day happen, but I'd particularly like to thank Ticketmaster, Hereby, Vatem, and Unlock Your City, because without their financial support, we would not have been able to put on this event. Then the last people to thank are Hackney Church and the team here for hosting us in their very beautiful building and enabling us to do this. And then I would like to thank our awesome volunteers who've been wonderful. And the Venues Day team, which is Team MVT, which just seems to get bigger and bigger, and then our lovely other team members, particularly Sitska, Embla, Nita, Sam, Simon, Chris, and everyone else I've forgotten, but I did put your names in the book. But unless Clara or Mark have got anything further to add...
I'll just do the two venues. Okay, so how many drinks are left over at the back there? All gone? What? Nobody even saved me a drink? Outrageous. Right. We have a free bar. Please get as tanked up as you can. Carry on networking. Thank you very much. That was Venues Day 2022.